Hey everyone, happy Friday. I am really excited to bring you a big update again this week, so bear with me as we have a lot of changes going on. I just really believe in these trainings, and I think this is the way that we can communicate changes to everybody and updates to everyone and keep us all engaged as we've grown to be over 100 people. So again, happy Friday. Here's your update. We had 2 new doctors start this week, and it's been awesome. They've jumped in and never missed a beat, and our new schedule's going really well. Our transfers are going well, and things are working just how we needed them to. So it's an exciting response to a busy summer. I am really excited to see what we accomplish, and we're making great headway with our expansion. So I can't wait to continue to share more details with you here. This is what we have for this week. We didn't have any other new team members join our team, but we did have 3 nurses attend Sprout School 2.0, where they focused on whiteboard training, and they came back independent and ready to work on those things in the treatment room. And those nurses were Christine, Lisa, and Ashlyn, and they did a great job. So again, great job to Alex for coordinating that. The next stop for Sprout School 2.0 for those team members and others is to focus on running appointments and all the skills that surround that. So again, when they go do that, they should return to work the next day, ready to do those tasks. It's just a great program, and again, we are really excited to offer this to support those nurses through supporting our new doctors. And then our next stop will be to really begin to concentrate on Sprout School for our customer care team as we continue to expand that team as well. So again, just great job to Alex. She is just crushing it. The next thing that I wanted to share is some promotions that we had this week that have gone really, really well, and I'm particularly proud of this group of people. So first up, from our grooming department, we've had some groomers assistants who have been promoted. Groomers assistant is the new job title that we're using for bathers because it's just more thoroughly encompassing of what they do. And so Kelly Gott was promoted to a level 3 groomer's assistant. Lauren Laborde promoted to a level 2 groomer's assistant. And then we've also had 3 nurses who were promoted from level 1 to level 2 nurses, and that is Drew Jensen, Runika Johnson, and Nina Babin. So great job, everybody. We are so proud of you and all that you're going to accomplish for our clients and patients. The next thing that I wanted to share is about our cat playroom. This week, Dr. Kristen and Drew Ploche, they focused on updating our cat playroom to serve not only as a play space, but also as an overflow appointment room for nurses' appointments or over-the-counter appointments and those types of space needs that we have. So we've added some chairs to that space. We have a table there. We have some curtains to close it off from the lobby. And so that space is going to work really well. One thing that it is not going to work well for is some of the flow of traffic that has to go through that play space to get to our cat boarding room. So we definitely don't want to cut that off. What I would recommend to our resort team is for them just to quietly tap on the door and move through pretty swiftly, maybe say excuse me, and then get onto the cat playroom where they need to go. If you're going to be in there for a while, that's great. You can stay in there and continue to work. Meanwhile, that appointment would be going on. Otherwise, if you think you're going to pass back through pretty quickly, you might want to just wait so that you don't have to pass through multiple times during an already short appointment. If you absolutely need to go through, just again, excuse yourself and try and be quiet when you're on the other side of the door so that you don't disrupt that too much. But again, it's got to be a shared space. We're going to have some little cramped things happening like this while we're waiting to expand, but it's so worthwhile, and we appreciate everybody working so well together to make that happen. If there's more on that, I'll continue to update you, but I really do feel optimistic that it's going to work and meet our needs for right now. So resort team, thanks for sharing your space. We're all going to be better for it. The next exciting thing that I wanted to add is we've added a new product into our pharmacy this week that I'm particularly excited about. I really feel like cats sometimes are underserved when it comes to products in our practice, and so we have landed on the product called Brevecto for cats. It's a topical flea and tick preventative, and it lasts for 12 weeks. So one topical application can last for 3 months for cats. again, to prevent fleas and ticks. So we've got that. And great news, it's an over-the-counter product, so you have something to offer to clients who come in who haven't established a relationship with us yet, to get them started on some kind of flea control for cats. Again, it's an answer to a weak area of our practice, so I'm really, really excited to have that product on board, and it's available now, so you can start selling it immediately. Also, I wanted to give an update from Drew Jensen from our treatment room. Drew serves as our kind of hospital equipment coordinator and IT support within our practice. She helps a lot with making sure things are happening within the treatment room and that all of our hospital equipment is on track to support that. So Drew has worked really hard recently to make sure that we have all the correct anesthetic monitoring leads for patients, like our ECG leads, SpO2, and so on. And what we've found in replacing those is that some of the ones that weren't working have been damaged, and what we're suspecting is from connecting and disconnecting those so frequently, like maybe in between each patient or at least each day, has damaged the connector prongs and therefore ruined that piece of equipment. So what we've done is we've replaced those, and we want you to leave them connected. Don't try and change them in between patients or put them away at the end of the day. It's not necessary. You can just drape and hang them over the top of the equipment and leave them connected. If that doesn't resolve our issue, we'll look to other areas, but this has got to be an easy thing for us to try first to keep those connected and safe so they don't wear out so quickly. The next thing that I wanted to speak on is Megan has made some Next Walk laminated cards that will attach to the fronts of the cages with carabiner clips. This process we've been doing for a few weeks. It works pretty well. We're just getting more cards, and so we're going to make this a solid permanent program and protocol that we use within the treatment room. We should have the rest of those tags out on Monday. So again, this is in full effect. Everybody use them, the laminated Next Walk cards, and let anybody know if you have any questions about that. Any of our treatment room nurses should be well versed on how those work. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was inactivating clients. This is something I've been seeing in a little bit of an uprise for. I'm not quite sure who or which group would be responsible for this, so I wanted to share it with everybody because taking care of our client records is definitely a group effort. So why would you inactivate a client? Maybe a client has given us a review that wasn't particularly favorable. Maybe they've requested records and kind of signified that they're not going to be with our practice anymore. Maybe they've moved. Maybe you didn't like them. I'm not quite sure. Any of those things could seem valid, but I want to share with you that that's not how AVImark works. AVImark has a built-in control system to where if a client is inactive, actually, meaning that we're not making changes in their account, they haven't spent money with us, that they fall inactive after 24 months. During the 24 months of what's considered activity, though, we are still able to communicate with them. We're able to share updates with them. They stay on our reminder radar. If we have any kind of recalls, we know particularly to reach out to those people. In other words, we take responsibility for being their veterinarian still because we haven't been notified of any other reason not to. So don't take it upon yourself to inactivate clients when this is something that automatically happens within a record. If you have an inkling that it should happen, that they should be inactivated, like maybe we've asked them not to come here anymore, let me or Beryl know. Usually from an accounting standpoint, we'll inactivate people who just don't belong within our system anymore. Or if we know that a client has moved and they're handling their reminders or they've secured another veterinarian, or if they're a referral case, we will manually inactivate those, but I'm not counting on you as a team member to do those things. So just make sure that, that you avoid inactivating people. If you do get a request for records, don't assume that that means that the client's leaving us. Sometimes that may be the impression that they give, or sometimes you may feel like this is a no-brainer, but it's not. We want to continue communicating with those people. If we know that they're saying that they're never going to do business with us, again, at least I want to continue to remind them for the sake of their pet that their pet will be due for services. And again, for all the reasons I mentioned before, recalls, sentinel events, previous exposure to anything, we need to keep their record active and know that we're responsible for communicating with them. So please don't inactivate. If a client's given us a bad review, or if they've called and asked for records and you notice that there's some sort of situation that's important to represent, please leave a work list message for the appropriate person. You'll know who those are depending on the situation. And if you don't know who it is, pass it up to your assistant manager and they'll figure it out for you. But that would be where you would just provide them with their records, make a CCO documenting what the client said, and then you can just make a work list message out of the same thing to bring it to the right person's attention so that we can respond to the situation and or the client appropriately. I never ever want to take it at face value when anybody asks for their records that they're absolutely done with us. There's always a way to resolve from that. So especially be cautious if clients are asking for records on a request through our website or our app or by text message or any of those things. Don't take that at face value. There's usually more there. So we want to know about those situations anytime anyone requests their records and it was unexpected as well. Do not inactivate them is the bottom line out of that too. Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to move on to sharing in light of records is also about new client forms. There's some minimum pieces of information that we get from clients when they're calling by phone. My 3 minimums are I want the client's name, and I want their phone number, and I want their email address. And then of course you get all the information about the patient that you have too. But the 3 minimums for client is name, again, first and last, their email, and their phone number. That's how we're going to contact them regarding their appointment and have some immediate ability to respond to them when they first get here. The next best thing is to have them complete a new client form. I love to do this over the phone and direct them to our website to complete the form because it emails it to us. So if somebody was even just driving in, complete that new client form online, it emails it to us immediately, and then they don't have to do any paperwork when they get here. Otherwise, they do have to fill out that new client form, and that's where we're having a problem right now. It's being missed a lot, and I know we can do better. Ultimately, we're going to hold the person who is checking the client out or taking payment from a client within that visit accountable for having that new client form completed and put into the record. So if you're working at the front desk and you're taking a payment, you have to make sure that you have that new client form before they leave. If you're in the exam room and you're taking a payment of a deposit for a client who's new and is leaving their pet for hospitalization or a procedure, it's your responsibility to make sure that they've done a new client form before you let them leave. Those things have to be done. So we'll hold those people accountable. In other words, if your name is attached to a payment and I don't see a new client form, I'm coming looking for you and I'm going to figure out why. We have got to do better with it. It's being missed probably 25% of the time right now. And it's a really simple thing to do. So the whole group focus on being better about that. In other exciting news, we did have a really exciting and fruitful CE this week. We focused on euthanasia and how we can do better. So it was a continuing education in the sense that we established what we're doing now and how we can continue to build on that. And we had a lot of great ideas. We weren't able to settle on any of them for 2 reasons. One was the sake of time, and then the other was we had 2 sessions of it. So what Dr. Kristen's done is she's bringing all the ideas that we generated within each session, and we're going to put them together and make some really cohesive plans for our whole team, and probably put some new protocols and standard operating procedures into place so that we can just capture the wow absolutely these visits that haven't been the most ideal recently. So I'll be excited to continue to share updates on that in the next 2 to 3 weeks through these trainings here. The next great thing that we established this week is the doctors organized a specific phone call update schedule for clients of hospitalized pets. So they organized, as those doctors are going to transfer cases throughout the day, how they're going to respond to clients by phone and how they're going to proactively give updates. So we settled on 3 phone calls per day. It could be more depending on need or availability or access to the client. It could be more phone calls, but we're going to have a minimum of 3 during some standard times, 6:30 to 8 a.m., 3 to 6 p.m., and then 8 to 11 p.m. that a client would expect a call in the range for. Now, the rest of the team has some responsibilities to uphold that too. Those phone calls are the doctor's responsibility, but the rest of the team, you have to help the clients through expecting this process. So if a client calls first thing in the morning and they haven't heard from us yet, but they wanted their kind of little wake-up call update, you might have to guide them into saying, hey, these are the times the doctors make the call. Keep your phone by you. If you haven't gotten a call yet, you will get a call, so stay available. That's probably going to be the best course of action. Also, customer care team, we're going to be counting on you to where if a client calls back and they say they just missed a call, that you, as you do now, encourage them to listen to that voicemail, because getting a doctor back on the phone is really cumbersome. They may have moved on to the next call, or they may have jumped in and started caring for their next patient. So you have to guide them into that. The other thing is, customer care team, you may be able to have a nurse update them on the patient at that point, because the talking to the nurse matched with the voicemail that they would have gotten from a client could be enough to satisfy them, and it could be enough for the nurse to capture whatever response the doctor was waiting on from the client. So be available for that. Doctors, if that's the situation and you leave a voicemail, you're going to need to update your nurses on what may be information that you need. If you're waiting to get permission for another treatment, if you're waiting to get confirmation that they understand what's going on, you may need to update your nurse on that too, so that they could serve for a return phone call type of thing. And then everybody, we are the sharpest when we put communication notes in, and we can refer back to those. So don't forget that part either. The next thing, the group who has a responsibility are their nurses. Nurses, you have to make sure that you're getting these updates from your doctors, of course, but you also have to make sure that you're responding to side notes to even be aware that there's clients on the phone. I'm a little bit disappointed in the nurses group as far as side notes go, from the standpoint of, if it doesn't show up with a doctor that you're assigned for, I see a lot of people looking away or not taking responsibility from that. But that's not really how you play on a team. You can't just say, I'm only going to take the ball when it comes to my side. Everybody has to work together to support one another. So if it's one doctor's case and you see those nurses are busy or they haven't been able to respond, you have to jump in and you maybe want to talk to that client and give them an update. I can guarantee you, as a client who's been on the phone before, talking to anybody is better than talking to nobody. So even if you just say, hey, I didn't want to keep you on hold, it seems like this team is busy. Can I answer any questions for you, or explain to you how something works? Or can I at least take a message and have one of them call you back the next time that they're available? Anything helps, and any responses help. So don't leave those calls unanswered. You can do better at responding to side notes and at answering phone calls, and you need to do better. So I'm expecting that from the nurses group now. The last update in regards to that is that with these phone calls, we are going to have at least one of the phone calls where the client is updated on their balance daily. And this is going to lend itself to some additional payment type of protocols that we have for hospitalized cases as we go forward. But we really first want to just get in practice of updating clients on balances daily before we have specific restrictions on how high balances could be or when to collect from those. So expect that protocol to follow. But for now, what we've decided to do is create a code and add it as a treatment into Whiteboard that the doctors would respond to or be responsible for, so that when that comes up once a day, the next doctor to make a phone call would know that they need to update the client on a balance. And to do that, it's really simple. You just use the F8 key when you're in their record. Make sure that everything has been posted at that moment. Use F8 and it's going to display what their balance is without having to mess up anything with accounting. It'll just display it, and so you could read it off to the client at that time. Then you would go put some notes under that code and post it off of Whiteboard. So nurses, you might just have to help them get started with that by prompting them when it would be due, and doctors, make sure that you're posting them when you're completed. Okay, guys, that was a lot of announcements today. I tried to be as brief as possible, but we just have a lot going on. So I hope you understand the importance of these trainings. I hope that you read the text as well, and make sure that you click complete training or I'm finished whenever you're done. Thank you for your attention, and thanks for making this week a great week, and I'm excited to see what next week brings. Have a great one. Bye, guys.